listening to the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS podcast with hosts John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook live show here. That's right, we are live at 9 a.m. in the morning here because DraftKings has given us a early game slate kicking off at 12:20 here today, James.
Yeah, very early slate. 7 games kicking off at 12:20, as you mentioned. 3 games taking off before 12:30. So, it's a bright and early. People on the West Coast might not even be awake by the time that the slate kicks off. But it's an interesting one. Really good pitching slate, John. People price probably too cheap for the talent they have. Sometimes you get this when slates are stacked with pitcher, like we get very cheap options. There's not a lot of weather concerns. We don't have cores. I'm very thankful for that.
Right.
Hopefully Great American doesn't disappoint us like it did yesterday. So it's a nice little 7-gamer to kick off this Thursday afternoon.
Yeah,
Thursday
100%.
morning, I guess, because it's
morning. It's morning right now. It kicks off at 12:20 here in the afternoon to get everything going this afternoon. You're on the playbook today, right? So you'll have everything done right after the show. A little bit after the show today, it'll be out. We'll be in the Discord to answer some questions for everybody with a little bit of day baseball action. James, before we break into today's slate, let's do a little bit. Shout out to our guys over at Real Time Fantasy Sports. Let's let everybody know what we got going on over there today.
Yeah, so play the Real Time Sports Pick'em contest. It's a daily Pick'em contest. All you have to do is you set up lineup of player props, hit them all, and win. They have baseball, golf. I know there is a big golf tournament today, John.
The Open Championship.
One of those 4 majors that they have every year. Yeah. And so that they have props for that. Baseball, golf, basketball, football, you name it, they have it. Go to rtsports.com/alarm. And first-time depositors get a 100% instant match up to $200 with deposit code ALARM23. Please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yep, so go check all that out today. Howard Bender should have some plays out later on. Obviously, we got day baseball slate. Got a couple of games later on in the evening here as well. So great opportunity to go make some cash over at Real Time Fantasy Sports. So that being said here, James, let's turn our attention over to the DraftKings main slate. Looking at 7 games here. It's kicking off at 12:20. What do we got for Vegas? What do we got for some totals here? It looks like we finally got past the weather issue. So this should be a pretty clean slate here today.
Yeah, finally got past the weather issues. That's nice. Finally is right. For Vegas, in terms of money line favorites, Spencer Strider and the Atlanta Braves, -200. They suffered another loss at home yesterday to Arizona. That's like the only significant money line. I guess the Mets -170. Sending Jose Quintana to the mound today. He's making his season debut. That game also has a 9.5 implied total that's tied for the highest on the board, that between San Francisco and Cincinnati, and White Sox Mets. There's a 9.5, 9 implied runs in San Diego, Toronto, and then everything else is below. And then the slate low, 7.5, Minnesota, Seattle. We've seen that now 3 straight days. Big lean on the under there. There was also a big lean on the under there on a Wednesday, and we see that didn't happen. So, and good morning to Poe Degen Stoner, a little wake and bake over there in Colorado. I mean, 6 in the morning. That's very early. All right, 6 in the morning, Stoner. Maybe 7 in the morning. Either way, very early.
Yeah.
And of course, Mark is here because Mark doesn't miss a show. This is appointment television. We appreciate you, Mark. But John, I know your coffee order. Yeah. I'm a hot coffee drinker, Mark. Hot coffee.
I got a little Dunkin' Ice, obviously.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, you woke up too early to go get that. Like, you woke up way too early to go get that.
Well,
like,
I was up super early anyways. Had to take, the wife out to the airport this morning, and they closed the main tunnel to Logan Airport, so you have to go the long way around, which means the entire state has to go the long way around. So even at 6 a.m. when I was up this morning, I was actually up at 4:00 to watch the Open when it kicked off on TV. So I've been up for a while, anyways. But yeah, I had to make the trip in and out of Boston this morning to get back here on time. James, you're gonna have to do the chat on my end. I don't see any questions, so
okay.
so I was a little worried that we weren't
That's
getting
good.
any. Mark wasn't here. I saw the viewers. I'm not seeing any chat questions. So if you see them, please bring them up. Feel free to shout them out and help me out a little bit here today when it comes to the chat questions. Because I unfortunately something's wrong on my end when it comes to that. So
Well, John, we got our boy. So, by the way, you missed the show the other day,
yes,
and Ice Through our boy Chase 15 Beasts. It's not Ice Through. It's I see through you.
oh,
So we've been wrong for all these years.
well,
Years,
I've only just
plural.
been reading it as one word. So
Ice
like,
Through. Yep. And he's never corrected us until the other day. I was on the stream with Colby. He said that's how it's supposed to be said. I see through you. And I was like, oh, okay. You haven't told us this for like 3 years, dude. Come on. But happy morning. I see through you. And
I'm gonna call you Chase.
yeah, Chase. Yeah, I mean we could just do that too.
That's
Or
all the same.
I'm gonna call you 15 Beasts because that's your last name.
15 Beast works as well. So again, we got a lot to get to here. James will be pulling up questions if you got them. I wish I could see them. And we can't see colors on Roto Grinders. Can't see questions in Restream today. That's fine. We're all let's get into it. Let's break down the slate. Pitching 7 games. Generally, this is like our first look podcast that you guys are watching. So you get like our instant reactions. So now you're gonna get to do them and see our instant reactions live. When it comes down to the slate here, we got relief pitcher Spencer Strider at the top at $12,600 here. Man's basically been one of the best pitchers in baseball for 2 years. DraftKings can't get his positional change. Roughed up in his last outing, but I mean, like strikeouts just absurd for him. Reasoning for the 12-6. Pablo Lopez against Seattle at 12-2. Zach Gallen gets Atlanta 9-4. Blake Snell against Toronto at 9K. Those are your top 4 pitchers here today on the slate. Are you keying in on any one particular matchup there of that group?
So I like 2 of these guys, and you can obviously make a case for any and all of them. I like Spencer Strider the most. I don't think that's saying much. I know Arizona's a tough matchup. I understand that, but he just has infinitely more upside than everyone else on a given slate. I mean, we have double-digit strikeouts in 3 of his last 4. He has 28 or more fantasy points in 4 of his last 5. We've seen 36 fantasy points and 34 fantasy points over that span. He has a 47 fantasy point game earlier in the year. I mean, we're 176 strikeouts and 110 innings. It's elite. So if you can get to Strider, I'm fine with it. I'm having a hard time looking at Blake Snell and thinking, wow, this is a 9K pitcher. Like this guy is a 11K pitcher at this rate. Like, dude,
yeah.
He has an 0.62 ERA over his last 10 starts. Not like a 5-start sample, not a 4-start sample, a 10-start sample.
Yeah.
He has an 0.62 ERA with 91 strikeouts in 58 innings. Like, this is a guy who's won a Cy Young and never pitched this well. You know, like this is.
I think that year he won the Cy Young, he had a sub-2 ERA. But I mean,
well, for a stretch, an 0.62 ERA for a 10-game stretch is like.
What did we have? Who was it last year? Was it Cease? Cease had that run.
Cease had a run, and then Gallen had the run earlier this year where he had 4 straight starts of no earned or 5 straight consecutive. It was like 38 innings or something for Gallen this year. I'm not saying Snell's Cy Young year wasn't special. I'm just saying even in the Cy Young start to get to a 2 ERA, you had to allow like 3 or 4 earned runs at some point. He's had 10 straight starts where 2 earned runs once, 1 earned run once, and 1 earned run another. He has 7 scoreless outings in the midst of this 10 start stretch, you know? So, and in the middle of that, we have 7, 11, 7, 10, 11, 12, 12, 8, 7. Those are his strikeout totals over that span. I know Toronto doesn't strike out a lot. Yeah. Neither did Philly. Neither did the Mets.
I will say over the last month though, Toronto is striking out against lefties. The last 30 days, they had the sixth highest strikeout rate against southpaws at 26%.
And they stink overall. They're like
overall they're 21st in WOBA against lefties. So.
Yeah, and that's been for the year. So I love
a team with no left-handed bats. Their righties can't hit lefties. So
yeah, very weird, very strange. But yeah, I mean, I think after Strider, it's pretty hard not to gravitate towards. Now, I understand like getting to Pablo Lopez is appealing because we just saw the 50-point ceiling a few games ago. But then you saw what else can happen to Pablo Lopez the next game? 7 earned runs. Like he has been very inconsistent all year. Zach Gallen obviously has to face the Braves. That's not fun. He's been good lately, but probably a fade for me. So Strider and Snell for me at the top.
Yeah. Just below them, this is where it gets a kind of interesting here. So we have Abbott at 88, right? He gets the Giants. We have Burns against Philly, Kirby against Minnesota in that 8K range. Now, that same 30-day sample size against left-handed pitching, the Giants rank 27th in weighted on base percentage, 276 with just a 208 average, a 600 OPS, a 120 ISO. But they're not striking out. It's only a 19% strikeout rate against lefties during that span. Now, you want to look at their seasonal average. They're, again, right near the top there, 24% strikeout rate against lefties, the 8th most in baseball. And again, just in general, not a good team versus lefties overall. But the lack of strikeouts for the Giants lately versus just bottom of the barrel statistics across the board, where do you put Abbott here, who, had a good run for a bit, faced Milwaukee back-to-back outings, not the best starts out of him here, which should have been great starts because of how bad Milwaukee's been against lefty this year. Are you worried about Abbott against San Francisco? Do you like any of these other AK starters more than the others?
Yeah, so I'm a little worried about Abbott, mostly because of the home runs. 8 home runs coming in his last 5 starts. And that's concerning because we're in Great American, and 6 of the home runs have come in Great American in 3 starts. Like 6 of the 8 home runs that he's allowed in his last 5 starts have come in Great American, all at his home starts. Definitely concerning. I understand like your point about San Francisco being, a bad team right now. They do have one of the hottest hitters in baseball, Wilmer Flores, and they do have Austin Slater, who has been historically good against lefties, Patrick Bailey. So they still have like good bats.
Yeah.
Mark brings up this point here. Hard not to love Kirby. And that was kind of what I was alluding to at the top of the show. Like price point is crazy on him and Corbin Burns at 83 and 85. Like we've seen Kirby 8,200 randomly on June 25th, but like 9,300 is last start, 9,600 against Houston, 9,200 against Tampa Bay, 8,700 against the Yankees, like largely been over 9K. And it's like not my favorite spot on the board because Minnesota's bats are definitely waking up. I mean, shout out to Kirilloff coming out of the break hot. And
this field just gives up home runs.
He does. That's
just the problem right now with him.
But Kirby has struggled against left-handed bats specifically this year. When you look at the numbers, lefties have given George Kirby some fits. So like I'm good getting there. I'm okay with it. 190 ISO allowed to lefties this year for Kirby, and Julian homered last night, Kirilloff homered last night, Kepler homered last night. So 3 of their lefties hitting in the middle of their lineup, all coming off home runs. I'm okay getting to Kirby. I think the Corbin Burns price is the most interesting thing on the slate. And I know I said this about Carlos Rodon yesterday, and obviously that blew up in my face. But Carlos Rodon also wasn't coming off a 13 strikeout outing in Great American, where scary scenes on the mound where he like almost collapsed and then finished the inning and like still finished with 13 strikeouts. Yeah. Now we've seen Corbin Burns 20 plus fantasy points in 3 straight starts, and his price is still in the mid 8K range for a Cy Young award winner, right? So I am hard pressed not to get here. I know Philly's offense has been much improved lately. They do strike out a good amount, 23.1% of the time against right-handed pitching. So there is that. We have to worry about the power, obviously. But maybe Bryce Harper won't take the bat off his shoulders again. I don't know if you saw that at bat, but
as someone who has Bryce Harper on their fantasy,
I don't know.
watch that at bat. I don't know
unsure.
what.
I am unsure.
He had no interest in facing that lefty. I guess he's just like, I'll either walk or strike out. This is what's
completely unsure. Maybe he won't take his bat off his shoulders here. I have a lot of interest in Corbin Burns at 8,500 against the Phillies today.
I mean, I think the upside's obviously there, but this is on the road against Philly is certainly a tough spot.
He has been better on the road, like significantly better on the road this year. He's averaging like over 3 fantasy points more on the road this year. The batting average against, nobody's hitting him on the road. So take that for what it's worth.
Sure. Tier below here. Bassett struggles against lefties. There's only really one lefty to worry about in that lineup, and it's Juan Soto. Now, Soto is the cover of today's show today because I do feel like just one-offing Soto and just seeing if he can homer here off Bassett because most lefties do. But Bassett went against Arizona and worked his way around Corbin Carroll and crew. And 6 innings, 2 earned in that one, 5 strikeouts, got you 19 fantasy points here. Obviously, going up across Snell makes it a little bit difficult because the win equity may not necessarily be there for him today, but it's a decent price point at $7,500 because I don't really have much else that I want to play here. Like, would you give Lorenzen a look? I guess it's 55. Like, that feels a little bit too cheap going up against Kansas City.
If you are a Fantasy Alarm subscriber, that will get the MLB DFS playbook over at fantasyalarm.com today. John, Michael Lorenzen is included in the write-up. Okay. Look, first off, he's been really good the last couple of starts. I know Seattle and Oakland, I understand that, but is Kansas City a better offense than them? No, they're technically worse against right-handed pitching.
We just recently faced them. 6 innings and earned 7 strikeouts in that game.
It's a spot that I'm really, really tempted to go to because we still have elite offenses on this slate. We still have Atlanta. We still have Cincinnati. We still have like all these top tier offenses. Lorenzen being 5,500 doesn't make a lot of sense when you look at Kansas City, 29th in OPS against righties, 30th in WOBA, and they have the 5th highest strikeout rate. Like, bing, bing, bing. Like, checkmate, right? So I'm getting to Michael Lorenzen. Now, obviously, the pitch count was a little concerning in the Oakland game where he just throws 60 pitches. And then he comes back in the start after the break with against Seattle, 97 pitches. So we're back. He's been pretty good in the strikeout department. 5 straight starts with at least 4. He had 7 against Kansas City, as you mentioned, 7 in his last start against Seattle. So back-to-back wins. I think the Tigers are they're clicking a little bit. I think as they get healthier and some of these guys show up, like Torkelson and Riley Green's back, right? Like, they're a little better of a team overall, I think maybe we realized. And I think Lorenzen is a great value today, $5,500. $2,000 cheaper than he was 2 starts ago against, or $1,500 cheaper than he was against Seattle last start. He went for 28 fantasy points. Like, what are we doing? Why? Also, DGen Stoner bringing up Taijuan Walker here. What's your take on Taijuan Walker against the Brewers?
I mean, he's been okay. Obviously, you look at his most recent
really
starts. The only one that's gotten him into any trouble is Tampa Bay, and he still got the win and 20 fantasy points out of that one because he had 8 Ks. I'm fine going there. Milwaukee obviously has some guys that can hit righties, but it's not a scary lineup by any stretch of the imagination. So, if you want to live in the mid tier here, I'm fine going that route. Again, it's a 7-game slate. You got to find some ways to differentiate some lineups and save some cash. You can buy some hitters. The way his current run is, I wouldn't give it too much of a second thought. Home games this year, he's 5-0 with a 2.3 ERA as well. So likes the home cooking here. In his last 10, he's 8-1 with a 2.5. So good call out there on Ty Walker. Certainly someone that can make some lineups in the mid tier.
Yeah, I mean, he's been great. He's been great. I picked him up everywhere in seasonal after dropping him everywhere in seasonal. Mm-hmm. I reclaimed him in both leagues that I had him in originally. Yeah. He's been great, man. $7,300 is a really good price. And I get another guy who's been $2,000 cheap or more expensive than he is on this slate. They've really priced down and depressed the pitching today. Is Walker my favorite value? No. I really do like Michael Lorenzen 55, but I would definitely get to Taijuan Walker at 73.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So I think they have to look at the pitching here. Should be pretty easy kind of to build some different looks into what we're looking to do today here. Moving on over to catcher. Again, when we have good pitching, sometimes it's tough to find the catcher spots that you want to attack and target. Is there one that sticks out to you more than the other today?
Yeah, Francisco Alvarez going right back to the well. I mean, he gets a righty. Righties have been where he's done like all of the damage he's done this year. Michael Kopech didn't even make it out of the first inning, his last start.
Yeah.
Again, like we've said this every start pretty much for Alvarez. 349 ISO leads the team. 396 WOBA leads the team against right-handed pitching. Leads the team. Like had another multi-hit game yesterday. And Kopech has been dreadful against both splits. 232 ISO allowed to righties, 216 ISO allowed to lefties, 352 WOBA allowed to righties, 344 WOBA allowed to lefties.
Yeah.
Mets are going to be a really nice play today. They're coming into this second half looking pretty good offensively. So I think Francisco Alvarez right off the bat is the first name that caught my eye. And then I would give shouts to guys like Patrick Bailey, who's hit lefties really well and is hitting in Great American against a guy allowing a lot of power. And then like not much else, John. Like you could play like Yasmani Grandal.
Yasmani Grandal would maybe be one to look at, but the numbers for him have really dipped. Earlier on in the year, we kind of liked him against lefties, but it's hasn't been all that great for him since. Slugging's down to 400. The OPS is just a tick over 700. So there are guys obviously we like with the White Sox against left-handed pitching, but like Quintana was pretty decent last year. I know he's coming off the injury and the rehab and all that stuff, but I mean, we'll probably talk about Lewis Robert here at some point.
We sure will.
So,
we will.
I'm sure we will there. So, like I said, when there's a lot of top end pitching here, it's a little tough to like want to key in on some of these guys. So, maybe Rogers maybe against Greinke, just because we don't think much of Greinke, even though Rogers is more of a lefty masher there. And again, don't overthink it. It's probably just Alvarez and move on. So
yeah, I think I would, if Tom Murphy did make the lineup, I would give him some consideration just because
last night.
Dude, he just continues to like. I don't know why they just don't play him at this point. Like, why not just use him and Cal Raleigh just in the same lineup?
You do the Rangers lineup, one catches, one DH.
Dude, I mean, if it's working, like just play the guy, right? They don't have a lot going on in Seattle right now, so. Tom Murphy, because we know Pablo Lopez can be very inconsistent.
Yeah. All right. Moving on over to first base. Again, top end guys facing some tough pitching. But I kind of gravitate to Votto here at 49 against Cobb. Again, like him at home, like him in the home ballpark, got the lefty righty matchup for him. I know the average has been down, but the power is still there for him at $4,900. Then Alonso. Again, I know he hits lefties, but he just hits for power. And Kopech was rightfully, I think we stacked against Kopech during that start, so that paid off big time. I think we can go right back here to Pete Alonso.
He just needs to figure it out, though. He's hitting 088 his last 10. Like, he has been so dreadfully bad. He has one hit since the All-Star break. He has one hit since July 7th. One. Yep. That is 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks. And I know there was an All-Star break mixed in. This feels like a spot that we break out of it, because Kopech has been so bad against righty power. So Votto and Alonso would be the guys for me too. I lean Alonso in tournaments just because I like the Mets so much against Kopech. But I think this is one of the weaker first bases we've had, mainly because the guys up top are in such tough spots. Like Olsen gets Gallen, Walker gets Strider, Vlad gets Snell. Like
if you're not an avid guy, you probably just play Wilmer, right? 31.
That would be right where So I think there's good value on today's
maybe
first
Torkelson against Greinke.
How about we go down to $2,200, John? Alex Kirilloff, for some reason, has now homered in 2 straight and 3 of 4, and he's $2,200. This guy is a top prospect who just couldn't stay healthy, and now he's healthy and has hits in 4 straight games, has RBIs in 4 straight games, has 5 runs scored, 3 home runs. Like, again, Kirby is good. He is a good pitcher. Sometimes doesn't miss a lot of bats, right? He is not like a big strikeout guy. And if he's pitching to a lot of contact, he has a 17% strikeout rate against lefties. Not good. He has a 190 ISO allowed to lefties. Not good. He has a high fly ball rate against lefties, 41%. Not good. Like, lefties can take advantage of George Kirby. I know this is not a good park, and I know that we spew Twins propaganda to everyone when we can.
Yeah.
There's no world that he's $2,200. Like, and I'm not saying he should be like $4K, but he's $2,200. Like, that's just a misprice for a guy who's hitting 361 over his last 10 games with 3 home runs in his last 4.
I agree. Move on over to second base here. Kind of a little bit of the same problem. You have Albies at 61. McLean wasn't dual eligibility yesterday, right? Wasn't he shortstop only?
They have been moving around these eligibilities. Like, Ellie has shortstop again. They've been moving around these eligibilities left and right.
Yeah, India's out of the lineup for 1 day, so all of a sudden everybody's got multi-position eligibility again.
Yep.
So anyways, McLean, Marte, India should be back in the lineup today. Wouldn't surprise me, actually, if, like, maybe McLean sat out today or something like that. Like, they're starting rotating some days off for these guys. But again, we find ourselves in a spot where, like, I don't know. Like, I don't really love if India's in the lineup. Maybe I'd give him a look. He's hit righties a little bit better than lefties this year. But I mean, I don't know what sticks out to you about second base today, because there really isn't much. From like Remillard maybe against Quintana, like, I don't know. There's not a lot here. Not a lot at second base today, sir.
Yeah, it's a position I'm spending down on. Edouard Julien homered again yesterday. He's homered in 2 straight. He's home again. Like, the Twins are really cheap, dude. They're really, really cheap. And I'm not trying. But look at these numbers his last 10 games. John, he's hitting 600.
I got him. Yeah.
600 in his last 10 games. And George Kirby has had a problem against lefties. He's one of their top prospects. He has hit righties since he got called up exclusively. He is good against right-handed bats. He hits atop their order. He hits for power. He has a little speed. He's scoring a boatload of runs. He has 17 runs and RBIs combined over his last 10 games.
Yeah.
So Edouard Julien, even though Edward is apparently shouldn't be his name according to Mark, and also Mark chiming in here, is this becoming a Twins day? It sure is, Mark. It sure is.
Might be.
I mean, they're very good value. Not that we necessarily need it, but they're very good value. So I would definitely get there. I'm okay getting to Jeff McNeil, 3,300. I know he's been really bad, but I like that lineup just in general today. Remillard is fine, especially if he leads off. There has been times where he's led off against lefties. Monasterio is okay. He's been really good lately, hitting 360 over his last 10 games. It's honestly a position that I'm just spending down on, and I'm not really looking elsewhere. Like, you can obviously get away with spending up. I've mostly gravitated to Julien. I've mostly gravitated to McNeil in a Met stack.
Yeah.
You could play Andy Ibanez if he's in the lineup, even though he only really hits lefties. It's an ugly position. It's an ugly position.
It is not a great spot for 7 games here today. I agree with you. Julien probably chalk today too, right? A lot of people probably just go.
I would assume so. I have not seen ownership out yet, so if that update comes during this show, I will let you know. But I have not seen. I have not gotten any ownership yet. Okay, hold on. Please hold. Update. Second base. So Jeff McNeil, Ha-Seong Kim, and Julien are the 3 highest rostered second basemen of the day. People are literally just, Julien, Schmidt, Monasterio, like, people are just taking shots on all the second base.
Yeah, you have to. Third base, again, a lot of top end guys here. Could take a shot on Ellie. I talked about it yesterday. Like, didn't like paying $6,400 for him. He's still slumping. So maybe he's a guy that needs a day off, right? Yeah. Like, not hitting right now. You get a day off, get a rest, get your mind reset here, and give him some time. Steer has third base eligibility again. Great.
You're giving everyone everything because
didn't need it.
CES also here. Yep. Also only third base.
Still $2,500. Had a hit in our run scored yesterday, so that probably feels like the spot to go tonight again at today is some value. Because again, we're looking at like where
we haven't spent up yet. We haven't spent up yet.
We're spending up an outfield, I would imagine. I guess.
Yeah.
Burger at 41 against Quintana, maybe.
Yeah, the power has been on display for Burger. 2 home runs since the break already. He had his wife adjusted his swing. Too. Yeah. Wilmer
2,600 against Kopech.
Yeah, homered. We gave him a shout yesterday. Back-to-back days with home runs. Again, I said it before the break. He suffered from a lot of bad luck this year, and he's starting to break out of it. He's like, screw this bad luck stuff. I'm just gonna hit the ball out of the park.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, it's a relatively bad position. McKinstry, if you're stacking Tigers, which
does Hanser Alberto crack the lineup versus lefty today?
He may. I wonder if anyone played Eugenio Suarez yesterday. He homered for a third straight day.
Yeah, I know. It'd be like a weird, like 1%er to hit if that happened.
Yeah.
If you were sharp enough to, put him in your lineup, you probably did pretty well. Would you play him again today though?
Dude, Pablo Lopez is like not a guy that's like he threw a complete game shutout and then followed up with 7 earned runs. Like he's Domingo Germán, just like better, Sure.
Yeah. All right, shortstop position here. Again, we talked about Ellie. We talked about McLean already. Trey Turner gets Corbin Burns at 55. Bichette gets Snell at 53. Xander, Witt, Lindor, anything here to look appealing to you at shortstop.
Yeah, I mean, you could play Turner if you wanted to play him if you wanted to stack against Burns. I know he hasn't been that great, but
imagine paying this guy all that money and he wore himself out playing in the World Baseball Classic.
Imagine taking him first in FSGA that you'd probably be in first in over Ronald Acuna. What a idiot that person must be. I didn't say me. I just said imagine that would imagine that happens by somebody. Imagine that was somebody out there. Sure. Yes, it was me. Bo Bichette, no. Bogarts is fine. Like he's been bad.
Though, man.
I think it's Lindor for me because I'm really in on the Mets today.
Even though he doesn't hit righties either, but I guess Kopech's just trash. So.
He has been fine against righties this year. 214 ISO, 342 WOBA are both pretty good numbers. 214 ISO is pretty legit. That's third highest on the team, only behind Alonso and Alvarez. 342 WOBA is right up there as well. Like pretty good numbers. So I would probably get to Lindor. If you want to play Willy Adames, he gets a righty. That's always the better split. We know he has power. You can play Correa if you wanted to, but I don't know what the upside is on Correa. Javi Baez is a guy who kind of intrigues me here, John. Greinke's numbers have gotten really bad, and like they progressively gotten worse throughout the year. Now righties aren't. It's mostly been lefties that have given problems, like massive splits for lefties. But 160 ISO against righties, Baez has started the break kind of okay. 3 of his last 4 games with a hit. Home run yesterday, extra base hits in 2 straight games, RBIs in 2 straight games, 2 stolen bases since the break. I'm not against Javi Baez also because this position stinks, but sure. I would say at shortstop above 4K, it's Lindor and Javi Baez for me.
Okay. Any value that you're looking at all? I mean, is there anybody down below? Schmidt?
JP Crawford? Yeah, I mean, dude, Casey Schmidt is just falling off a cliff. I don't even know what the ceiling at this point is, like 9 fantasy points, and that just doesn't provide you anything. So
I agree.
I'll just stick with JP Crawford as the best.
Okay. Moving on up then to the outfield. We talked about it. Probably some guys here. I wouldn't avoid Acuna versus Gallen.
No.
Because I don't think anybody's going to play Braves today against Gallen. So you want to be, high upside offense, right? Like you want to talk someone that could break out. Acuna certainly can still do damage and get after Gallen.
Acuna is the third highest rostered outfielder. That's just the field saying, like, I'm just going to play
so
the
much money.
upside. So much money, and I'm playing the upside. Yep, exactly.
Right. Talked about Luis Robert here against lefties. Absolute master against southpaws. Yep. Soto, again, just really the matchup for Bassett more so than Soto. Bassett is so bad against lefties that this feels like a good spot in Toronto. A good hitters environment here, so it could be a spot for Soto. So if I'm looking at the top guys here, Cunha, Robert, and Soto for me.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to rank them. Luis Robert has made the write-up in the playbook for me, mainly because of how good he's been against lefties. 320 ISO, 443 WOBA. Those are absolutely elite numbers. I know Jose Quintana has been like pretty good in the past, but he is making his debut. Luis Robert hit a home run yesterday. Seemingly hits a home run every day. He's been incredible the entire year. 28 home runs now in the year. So 5,900 gets a lefty. Luis Robert's my top play. Obviously, no issues getting to Soto in this because this is his best split versus Bassett's worst split is obviously ideal, and then Acuna no problems getting to. So yeah, those are my three above 5K as well.
Yeah. In the mid-tier range here, again, I think the Reds probably outfield plays a bit against Cobb here. Just getting them in Cincinnati feels like a good spot to target, especially given sort of the slate itself. Not a ton of like super good options, but I do like Riley Green and Carpenter again getting some lefties against Greinke here.
Yes.
Probably a spot that you'll see us look to today.
Yes, I love both those names.
We got a lineup for the Reds.
Lineup for the Reds. Who is not included?
Ellie's leading off.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Encarnacion Strand.
Ellie, Friedel, Steer, Fraley, India, Votto. It's McLean, as I figured.
Yeah, it's no McLean.
Yep. Votto, CES is DHing. Benson back in the lineup after homering yesterday again. And Male at catcher. No Stevenson today.
Okay.
So no McLean, no Stevenson for the Reds. Ellie leading off is pretty interesting. Huh?
Ellie leading off is pretty interesting.
I do like that. We got a Braves lineup here too. Let's see. Anything different about the Braves today? Acuna,
no Murphy.
Riley, also no Murphy. Darno, Ozuna's DHing. Harris hitting ninth again. So nothing different.
Nothing different. I think Riley Green is one of the better plays in this mid-tier. He's been so good against right-handed pitching this year. And I mentioned the Greinke splits. 237 ISO, 403 WOBA allowed to lefties, 47% hard hit, 13% strikeout rate, and that can obviously be Riley Green's detriment sometimes, 26% strikeout rate against righties. So I love Green. I love Carpenter. Carpenter's going to be really popular, according to the ownership that I'm looking at. I don't see Riley Green being that rostered, though, so about 10%. So you can get some nice leverage going to Riley Green here.
Going on down a little bit more into the value range here. I think Harris, who can run back there. I know he's against Gallen, but going down at the 9 hole. We talked yesterday, Harris or Nimmo. We went Harris route. Nimmo had a double and an RBI. Now he's probably going to lead off again against Kopech today. So if you had to pick one, maybe we go more Nimmo today.
Yes, Nimmo is the answer today, and like Harris will be contrarian, right? He had the triple yesterday. Didn't do anything else. The Braves really were disappointing against Ryan Nelson in general, but I think Nimmo is the play today. Harris was the play yesterday, and then when you go down, we have the likes of Austin Slater, who gets a lefty. He's a lefty masher. Kerry Carpenter, as you mentioned. Teoscar Hernandez. There's some very good value down here. Even if you wanted to play Jake McCarthy, I know he gets Spencer Strider, but I mean, hey man, if he leads off again, I would take a shot on McCarthy just with the stolen base equity.
Dude, 100%. And we get into someone like Austin Slater, right? Hits lefties really well.
Yep.
A lot of power here. So if you're not in on Abbott today, there are some giants to look at. Now their outfield generally is all lefties. They'll play Slater today. But definitely some potential options there to go to Trying to see if anybody else really just kind of sticks out. You mentioned McCarthy already, as you said. Benson.
15 Beast says White Sox Day?
We like some.
Robert.
I mean, we like Robert.
Robert Berger Grandal.
Yeah, I said Remillard's cheap. $2,600. Could go some KC guys. I mean, Waters against Lorenzen here.
Yeah, that's fine.
But there's really not a lot down here.
Two-man Anderson, Robert. I'm not necessarily this version of Tim Anderson has not been.
People are saying like, "Oh, Tim Anderson's going to be on the trade block." I'm like, who's trading for Tim Anderson?
Like he's been okay since the break. He has a couple multi-hit games, but he hasn't hit a home run yet this year. Like, what happened to didn't he win the batting title 2 years ago? Like, where is that guy?
They told him like stop having fun bat flipping, and he
True.
decided he wasn't going to play baseball anymore. I guess I don't know. He got too full of himself, and just.
We got another question here, John. We could circle back.
Sure.
Do y'all like the Twins again? And what's your favorite GPP pitcher and stack? Devontae, thanks for the question, man. I'll let you go I'll let you go here. What do you think?
Well, we definitely like the Twins. If this
Twins.
is your first time tuning in, thank you. Welcome in. If you've watched before, then it shouldn't be a surprise to you. We do generally believe in the Twins more than the Twins believe in themselves, it seems like half the time. But definitely, I think today is a day that we will have some Twins exposure because of just sort of the pitching matchups, right? I mean, a lot of these offenses that we like are going up against some tough guys. We like Arizona, Atlanta. Well, they've got Strider and Gallen that they're kind of running up against. Blake Snell is going up against Toronto. That's kind of a tough spot. Philly against Burns. But Minnesota here getting Kirby. We think that this could be a spot to maybe look at. Kirby's been good, but not great. The home run ball has been a problem for him lately a little bit, and there are guys on the Twins, especially from the left side of the plate, that are starting to do some damage, like Julian, like Kirilov. So I'm not suggesting that the Twins are going to go out there and be the best team on the slate today, but there's a lot of good offenses, good teams facing tough pitching today. So you can only attack so much. I think our favorite stack is going to be the Mets, just because we're in on Kopech, but like a lot of the Mets are on the wrong split side that we generally like to play them on. So, that there certainly could be some challenges there as well. When it comes to our favorite GPP pitcher today, we mentioned a few. I think we liked the strikeout potential for Strider here up at the top. Obviously, he's 12-6. I think you can get there. Blake Snell has really high strikeout upside, and Toronto is struggling against lefties on the year. So we think that Blake Snell at 9K feels like a pretty good value. Now, there's obviously got to work your way through Vlad, Springer, and Bichette. Could obviously flip the script on that pretty easily, but I know that we're kind of looking there. We had one of our watchers in here bring up Ty Walker. His recent run has been insane. Milwaukee is a high strikeout team. They have some guys that can hit righties, but not really an overpowering offense. So, Walker finds his way into some builds. And then Lorenzen was our GPP value play today. $5,500 coming off back-to-back shutout starts, 11 2/3, no earned runs allowed. And those outings, and he recently faced Kansas City back in June, 6 inning and earned and 7 strikeouts. We know KC strikeout against righties. So if he can avoid Salvi Perez, who looks like he'll be playing today, in the home run ball, then maybe it's a lineup that you can work your way around. So that's kind of what we're looking at here today.
Yeah, some interesting things in there. George Kirby's second highest projected rostered pitcher today, 31% behind Spencer Strider.
Well, we're no strangers to stacking against the chalk pitching. So
yeah, we didn't mention Max Kepler in the outfield. He's 2,600. He's homered in back-to-back games, or homered in 2 of 3. So just another cheap twin to play. Some interesting also notes on pitchers you mentioned. Blake Snell, 10% projected rostership today. Michael Lorenzen, 13%. Taiwan Walker, 5% projected roster.
We got a D-backs lineup here. Perdomo leading off, Marte hitting second, Carroll hitting third, Walker hitting fourth. No changes there. Canzone is DHing today. No Longoria. Rivera's at third. McCarthy down the bottom of the lineup. Kelly and Thomas rounded out there. So not like the most scary lineup going up again. No Lourdes today. No Longoria in that lineup for the D-backs. So just something.
Yeah, it just makes you want to get to Strider more.
Yeah, and you can with the way we talked about value, right? Like there's so much value on it.
Perfect. Yeah, and this is what Mark just said. Oh, look, I have $20K salary left because the Twins are free. So
yeah.
And no problem, Devontae. We appreciate you stopping in. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We go live every day at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Except today, we're live here now. We do have the podcast every day at 9 a.m. If this is your first listen, podcast 9 a.m. here on the Better Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. We go live at 5 Eastern every day here at Fantasy Alarm.
I'm just clicking some buttons, seeing what we can do here. Strider, Snell, and Alvarez gives us 3,500 a player, and I feel like we can build. We can build a lineup.
Yeah. Well, we didn't spend up until we got to the outfield when we didn't like any spend ups. I mean, first base you have Wilmer or Kirilloff. Like you have
is Kirilloff dual positional or just one?
No, it's just first. It's just first. Yeah, they rid us. Devontae says he listens to us every day. Well, we appreciate you, Devontae.
Appreciate you stopping in and popping in the chat, man.
Yeah, never be afraid to ask any questions you got because we're here to help. So, maybe even join the Discord. You know, maybe come.
Yeah, if you're not already a subscriber, man, we got the promo right now, 50% off the first 6 months. That includes all content, not just MLB. So the NFL season's 2 months away. You get access to our fantasy football draft guide when you become a subscriber there. It's $19.98 a month for the first 6 months there with promo code MLB50. You get a 7-day free trial. You get access to our premium Discord where you can ask us questions and get direct answers there when we're not on stream as well. So now's a good time to get involved here. I think the Braves have a bounce back day. Listen, Kingus Mac, I agree. I think I agree that this is the perfect time to try to play the Braves.
The best offense in baseball. The best
offenses in baseball in a spot where I don't think many are going to try to get to them. That said, you did say Ron Acuna is one of the higher rostered outfielders or players on the slate today. Yeah. But it could be a spot to just try to get a little different because on these slates, you got to find ways to be different. It seems like we're going to be different playing the Twins today with the way Kirby's rostership projection is, which is fine. If Kirby shuts us down today, then he shuts us down today. But, we like Julian there at second base at $3,100. We like Kirilloff. We had Kepler in the outfield who homered yesterday.
Let's go. We're going full. This is my favorite. This is my favorite pot of the year.
Mark, put the earmuffs on. We're going Twins.
Twins.
And let's see here. I like Soto. We get Soto there. What's our third?
Wilmer? We have Wilmer. We want to go
Wilmer here, right? Shortstop. What was our shortstop play today?
Shortstop, we had I liked Lindor. We're not playing enough Mets.
Yeah, IMO. Yeah, Lindor Nemo.
I don't think we're going to be able to afford it.
3,500 in the outfield.
We'd be able to do it if you went down from Snell to
Could play Carpenter against Greinke.
We could play Carpenter against Greinke. I like that.
Could go McNeil.
No, Carpenter more power.
Right?
Yeah, Carpenter has more power upside.
So I mean, if we're just going to playing around with some lineups here, and we went Strider Snell. This is what we could build here. We got Lindor, Alvarez. We got a stack here. Braves, Milwaukee, Detroit for all the moolah. Listen, we liked Green, Carpenter, and Torque today for Detroit. So I think that could play here. Milwaukee is the interesting one.
Yep.
Just given how strong Ty Walker's been, and he's been fantastic at home this year. Again, 2.3 ERA, undefeated in 8 home starts. You look at Milwaukee and their recent numbers against right-handed pitching. Strikeout-wise, 24%, the 7th most in baseball on the year. Their 303 WOBA against right-handed pitching is just 23rd in baseball. For the last month, Milwaukee is 24th in baseball with a 2.302 WOBA, 22% strikeout rate though, so striking out a little bit less. But 680 OPS, a 120 ISO, 230 average, not great for Milwaukee there against righties. So, but like you said, if we didn't want Snell, like we could go down and really get the world if we wanted to plug in a Walker that gives us $1,800 more. $5,200. Just go for it. Just swing for the fences and throw Buxton in the lineup.
I was gonna say go to Lorenzen. You could even go down to Lorenzen even more
Get
and
ourselves
literally
Robert.
get Robert or Acuna. Yeah,
$7K.
You could literally spend up on anybody you want.
Would you rather Robert or Acuna?
I mean, don't ask. That's a crop question to ask. That's a loaded question. If I don't say Acuna, he's double donging and stealing 2 bases. I mean, I love Luis Robert today. So I'd probably go Robert, but like obviously I can't. Look at those.
It feels like Robert's obviously the better matchup here. In theory, we got $1,100 to play with. I wouldn't even know where we would go with $1,100. I mean, honestly, what's our top shortstop? McLean's not even playing today, so that doesn't even matter. So we got Lindor. We really like Wilmer a lot today.
Yeah, I think
I guess this is what we would do, right?
Yeah,
play Burger and Robert.
Yeah, if we were to play Robert, him doing the 3-4 stack makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at for lineup today. Let's quickly run through our top picks there. We did a little bit of reverse order, with our lineup build. So let's do the Grande Gems and Impemba imprints, and we'll finish out the show there.
We have one more question, John. We'll get to King of Smack again.
Yeah, what's up?
On FanDuel, would you pay up for Abbott or Strider? It's going to be tough to get bats in. I would, if you're spending up, I'd rather spend on Strider. We have gone all show where we don't like Abbott all that much, so the answer would definitely be Strider if you're spending up.
Just sort of given recent form. I mean, again, we talked about it all year. I mean, the Giants statistically do not hit the lefties well. Even recent form Giants, they're still bottom 20 team. But Abbott, has started to show again a little kinks in the armor again. So Strider's just strikeout potential is ridiculous.
Yep.
We looked at the lineup for the D-backs, and it's nothing special today. So I would rather Strider. FanDuel, I'll go look at FanDuel. I know we're doing the DraftKings breakdown. I'll go look at FanDuel. If you're in our Discord, feel free to shoot some questions in there too. I'll take a look at FanDuel and give some suggestions. But generally, FanDuel has hitters priced way down. So, you can generally pay up and find some good bats to get in your lineup there too.
I mean, Abbott, to what you said, King of Smack, like Abbott has been pretty good. But if you look at the numbers the last few starts, he's allowed 8 home runs over his last 5 starts. 6 of them have come in Great American Ballpark where today's being played, and righties have over 2 home runs per 9 innings against him in that span. So as good as he's been, there were signs to regression to begin with, and now we're seeing the regression. And
there shouldn't have been 2 better. Milwaukee has been one of the worst teams in baseball against lefties forever, and to his point, like Milwaukee's heating up. Well, yeah, he shoved it up Abbott in 2 starts. So, I was kind of touting some regression on Abbott. And then he goes on that crazy run right as I leave for my honeymoon. He's out there just double-digit strikeouts for 4 straight starts. You're right. It could be a spot today to use them if you want to be a little bit contrarian, maybe. But, I think Strider gives you the safer floor. So, I think FanDuel might still have me locked out. So I don't really know.
FanDuel, Strider's 11-4, Abbott's 10-8.
Yeah, just pay for Strider. Find the money.
So there's not, and I wouldn't say there's an edge at home because it's a hitter's ballpark.
Yeah.
There's never a pitcher's edge in Great American Ballpark.
No.
Second most runs per game, and that's been consistent for the last few years.
Yeah, his home starts have been fine, but he's given up 6 home runs at home. So,
and they're all in the last 3 starts. That's the concern. The last 3 home starts, he's 3 home runs to Colorado.
Yeah,
that's not great. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I'm just saying I'm starting to worry with the power, and the Giants do have some good power
Yeah.
bats.
You asked us to pick one or the other. It's not a huge price difference between the
Right.
two. Like obviously on DraftKings, it's massive. It's 12.6 versus 8,800.
Right.
So if you want to save money, you like dab in your build, it's fine. But on FanDuel, you start one guy and it's like $400. Just I'll take Strider there. Unless like you really need that money to play the guy you want to play, like trust your analysis, and play Abbott and I hopefully he does well for you. That's fine today. So it's just my opinion. The price difference is close enough that I'd rather take Strider. So, all right, James, give me your home run call today.
Luis Robert Jr.
All right, that's fine. I'm gonna go Alvarez. Francisco Alvarez homers today off Kopech. And keep the hot streak going there.
Yeah, that parlays into my top stack. I'm gonna go with the Mets today.
Okay. I like the Mets, but since we're talking about it, my top stack today will be give me let's do it. Let's do Atlanta. Let's do Atlanta as my top stack. Yeah. Click the like button, like Chase said.
Right down there.
Yeah.
Down there.
Like and subscribe to all of you listening in here today. Morning stream, bring in the fans again. We'll be live generally at 5:00 Eastern PM most days here, but we'll get live to you on these early slates. So I like Atlanta as my top stack. Contrarian stack, I think we're both going Minnesota here. Definitely. Or value stack, we're both going Minnesota. Who's your value play of the day?
I'm gonna go Michael Lorenzen.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Michael Lorenzen. I think he's gonna shut down Kansas City. It's been a brutal season for them against right-handed pitching.
Give me Julian as my value play at $3,100 there.
Could have just said Twins. Could have just said Twins value as the bucket statement. Sure. Star of the day, Spencer Strider. Spencer Strider.
Stole him from me. All right,
he's going for 40.
We'll close the show. Both of us agree here with Spencer Strider. Guys, again, if you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, you see the scroll down at the bottom. All Pro Access gets you access to all of our content. It's not just the MLB DFS content. We cover all sports, and you get access to that 50% off the first 6 months with promo code MLB50. That's $19.98 a month for the next 6 months. Gives you access to everything we do on site and access to our premium Discord. It comes with a 7-day free trial, and it comes with the Fantasy Football Living Draft Guide. It's updated on site every day. New articles get released. DeAndre Hopkins just signed. We have the analysis updated. If you bought that magazine off the rack, probably says he's still playing for the Cardinals, or it says he's a free agent. What good is that magazine to you? It's not. So come join us here today. Get the Living Draft Guide and become part of the Fantasy Alarm family. James and I will be back tomorrow, our usual time, 5:00 Eastern PM, breaking down the main slate on Friday. I'll be on the playbook then. James on the playbook today.